Well, there is no cure, but there is hope. This morning, we want to discuss idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis, or IPF. Anyone touched by this mysterious but terminal disease knows that the need to raise awareness is urgent. We take a closer look at IPF in our ongoing series, Behind the Mystery, Rare and Genetic Diseases. Our guest this morning is Dr. Daniel M. Rose, President and CEO of the Pulmonary Fibrosis Foundation. Welcome and good morning to you.
Good morning, Danielle.
Glad you're here with us because I want to be honest here with you for a second. Until I started doing research on this subject, never, ever, ever have I heard of idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis. And there are probably a lot of people out there who are just like me, but I know that as many people die from this as they do from breast cancer. That is astounding to me. What is it?
Well, I mean, you're absolutely right. It's a disease that not a lot of people know about it. The average life expectancy is only 2 to 3 years from the time of diagnosis. The actual number of people in the United States that have the disease is somewhere between 150 and 200,000.
So let me ask you, what causes it, and is it hereditary?
Well, that's a great question. In about 60 to 70% of people, we don't know what causes it. It's called idiopathic. 10 to 15% of people, it can be familial, such as in my case, my father died of the disease and 2 of his siblings died of the disease. You can also get it from certain medications, certain chemotherapy agents can cause it, radiation can cause it, some sorts of environmental exposure can cause it. But usually we don't know what causes it, and that's why it's called idiopathic.
You know, it's interesting because I'm here thinking, so if a lot of people don't know about it, how do they know what the symptoms are? What are some of the symptoms?
Well, the main symptom that people get is they just become increasingly short of breath and have difficulty breathing. For years, the disease was not well described or well defined. So a lot of primary care physicians and even pulmonologists weren't aware, and they thought people had emphysema or COPD. But there's specific patterns on what are called high-resolution CAT scans that are pretty specific for pulmonary fibrosis. And since it has a worse prognosis than emphysema or COPD, and there's really no therapies, people weren't diagnosed properly for a long time.
Mm-hmm. Well, how is it then treated?
Unfortunately, unless it's related to some sort of environmental exposure, or you can get it from other diseases such as rheumatoid arthritis, there's no real treatment aside from a lung transplant. There's a lot of research going on in this area now, and there's a number of drugs in clinical trials and undergoing investigation and research.
Well, that's encouraging, sobering, but it's nice to know that there is hope. Really good information. I want you to stick around because we're going to take a break right now. But when we return, you'll meet someone who underwent a lung transplant along with his wife, and you'll draw from their strength as a couple. So stay with us. Well, before the break, we were discussing idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis with Dr. Daniel M. Rose, President and CEO of the Pulmonary Fibrosis Foundation. Now, also joining us this morning are IPF patient and broadcaster Ralph Howard and his wife and care partner, Broadway actress and comedian Julie Hostin. Welcome to all of you.
Hello.
Hey, Danielle.
Ralph, you're looking good.
I feel pretty good, too. Thank you.
I'm so glad. Thank you so much, guys, for coming on and sharing your story with us this morning. And you know what? You may not know this wonderful, handsome face, but you know this voice. Ralph Howard, for those of you who may not know, is the news anchor for the Howard Stern Show. What a lovely couple, guys.
Well, thank you.
What a
We're
lovely
happy
team.
to be here.
What a lovely team. So tell us your story, Ralph.
Well, my story is that I got my new lung, my left one over here, 2 years ago. But it started about 4 years ago when I was being treated for asthma but not getting better. So my general practitioner listened again to my lungs and said, "You've got fibrosis, idiopathic fibrosis." So then my doctor got me into the program at New York Presbyterian Hospital, and it took about another year or so before I got on the list to get a lung, which was pretty fast, actually.
Ralph, what were your thoughts leading up to the transplant, and how did this impact you? Because it had to be scary.
Well, when a doctor says you have a fatal disease and you're going to die, you're kind of stunned. As a matter of fact, I heard nothing after that for a while.
Yeah.
He kept going on, and I don't remember a thing about it.
One of the things that would be hard for me, being the wife, Julie, and being the one to also, because this is your diagnosis too. You're going through this as well. What were your thoughts? What did this mean for you?
It was the longest walk home from that doctor's office, and it's only around the block from where we live. I can barely remember it. It was a very long walk home. But I think, being the kind of people we try to be, which are optimistic and pretty vital, we were really going to take this head on. And once we found out that transplant was available, we were really going to get involved. It is very, very hard on the team. So one thing that I would tell people, if they have a diagnosis of idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis, is first of all, learn a lot about it, because it is a terminal illness, but it's not a terminal sentence.
I do feel maybe a little special or a little out of sync maybe, but I feel very happy and fortunate.
You know, when you see this story and you hear this story, Dr. Rose, I want to wrap it up here with you. We know that education and awareness are keys. How can our viewing audience help and or get involved?
Well, I mean, that's a great question. If they're interested, obviously they can go to our website. There's lots of information on our website. We have lots of different fundraising events. So there is hope.
I am
A lot of hope.
I am so glad you said that, because I can't think of a better way to end it other than a little kiss. Little kiss a kiss, little kiss
Am I
a kiss.
first in line, please?
Not to me here.
Oh, excuse me. Oh, I'm in trouble now. Okay.
Now he's in big trouble. I love it. Oh, how wonderful, guys. Thank you all so much for coming by. Great to meet all of you.
Thank you. You've been fantastic.
As have you guys. Thanks again. And for more information about IPF and to learn what you can do to spread the word and increase education about this disease, visit the website pulmonaryfibrosis.org.